Hi, my name is Isabella Headrick, and this
Join
is
the
a
meeting.
presentation on quality interactions. Okay, so I'm Isabella. I started at UH West Oahu in 2020. I went to high school on the mainland, but I also attended HCC and LCC. Um, I'm currently pursuing the general track of creative media here at UH. All right, so the summary. So I'm going to go over in this presentation, I'm going to go over plans for my project, and then I'm going to go over like why I did the research, and then like what was my objective, and go over my thesis and address the significance of what I'm doing. Right. So my thesis statement was the aim is to uncover the impact of today's world on the dynamics of social interactions and to emphasize the need for meaningful connections in an ever evolving society. So the reason I started conducting research on the quality of social interactions was because it seemed to me that my generation seemed to be struggling socially compared to previous generations. And then at the beginning of the semester, I saw an email from Dr. Steve in the mental health that I saw an email that said they had taken a survey and a lot of students had felt socially isolated over the past few years. And I thought that I was the only one who was feeling that way. I mean, I understood that like COVID had made everyone feel socially isolated, but since then it seemed like we're still struggling with that. So I wanted to explore why that might be and how we could overcome it. So the objective of my research was to help myself and others to better understand social interactions and how, if we need to, adapt to a new sort of way to connect socially. So my projects, my project, I would like to have conversations with people, and I figured one way to do that would be to also draw portraits so that I could have like, for me, I'm a very visual person, and I think that having the conversations would be kind of hard for people. So I feel like having this other element to the conversations might make it easier to like communicate with people, but also it would be a good way to like draw people in at the end when I have everything collected, if I have like 40 portraits of people. But then while I'm drawing these portraits of hopefully students, or I guess I could ask other people, but my goal is mostly students. Um, so I want to have 40 conversations and I have 40 portraits like created over the semester. And then the reason why I want to do this is because I would be collecting this like first person evidence of like conversations. Like I would ask them about like what is their experience with like social interactions lately, and like kind of do a survey but like in person and conversation style, and collect evidence on like how people are feeling socially, I guess, recently. And then hopefully after I can like collect all of that, then I can, draw some conclusions and put that in a video at the end. So now we can talk about the significance. So I think this is significant because interactions socially, I feel like, are such a big part of our everyday life. Like, we probably don't even notice how much it impacts us, but just like for me alone, like being able to go in person classes makes me a better student. Like, having even Zoom meetings, like where I can actually have conversations with people, makes me a better student. And I think that most people have a better, almost like more a better motivation to be in school if school is positive and the interactions are positive. So it's my hope that this research project can help future students or just students now, or students that I will interact with, hope to encourage them to find, like kind of improve their interactions socially, or just, like point out that there's other ways to go about it, or hopefully by collecting all this information, like I can kind of shine a spotlight on the fact that students are not alone. Like we're all maybe need to find a better way to have quality interactions at school and stuff. So I found a lot of data that was about how in recent years we've been like young adults have been more depressed, and how the rates have just it seemed to be skyrocketing. And I saw a lot of news about like suicides among young adults recently, and I was thinking that I feel like, well, in my paper I wrote a little bit about like how social media and stuff has impacted that, but I think that if we could find a way to improve our quality of our social interactions, then hopefully it would have an impact on like hopefully less depression and less anxiety and less suicide among young adults. So my target audience is college students, young adults, and I wrote in my paper about Gen Z, but it's not just Gen Z that is dealing with this, just all young adults. And I think it was easy to choose that because I fall into that group, but also that's like what I'm surrounded by right now is young adults at school and college students. So that's gonna be my target audience. So I think this would point to a solution. So my proposed solution is that if I could collect all these conversations and have this data and able to condense it into some form, like a video or something to share with other students, like then I feel like I could point out that they're not alone, and that like there's some ways that we can improve our quality. Like we should improve our social interactions, like by have like deeper, more meaningful, like authentic. And I think that that will make students like more happy to go to school and more motivated to be there. And then I think that will make a better community for them, like even if they're just like more successful at school, like I think that would even improve their home lives or like our community as a whole. And I think that like hopefully improving a little bit at a time will have kind of like a butterfly effect to the rest of the like community. So for my prep, I feel like before conducting my project, I would need to figure out the logistics, like where would I set up, and like how that would like what permissions I need to get in order to like hang out in the lobby at school or whatever. And then I need to get supplies, and then make sure that I have a consistent time. Like if I do it 3 times a week, like this conversation and portrait conversation kind of thing, I would need to talk to the appropriate people and get that all approved before I could start this. I also would like to get I probably would ask uh, like Charlotte and like people at ACM to like help me get the word out that like I need some students to come and like volunteer for this, just to have a conversation and get their portrait drawn. And then during production, then I would need to keep like copious notes, and I think I would like to try and record like our conversations just so that I could have better notes later. Not necessarily would I do anything with that actual audio is just for myself, but I probably need to like draw up a like permission slip from the people just to have their like recording for myself though. Anyways, I would also need to make sure that I could attract enough people, and that's what the help from hopefully Charlotte and ACM people and like social media probably. But after it's all done, I would assemble my project into a deliverable form, and I'm thinking right now I would have the portraits, and then I would also have a video of myself with like just talking about like all of the data I collected and like my conclusion and my results. And then, so this is kind of just two examples of portraits that I've done recently. Um, and I think it would be best if I stuck to like very simple line drawings, probably not a lot of color. Even though I like color, it just would be better, like so I can focus on the conversation and also not take up too much time because I know I want to be respectful of people's time. And, if they can only give me 10 minutes, like that's better than nothing. That's probably more likely to happen and I would get more people if I could just do simple line drawings. All right, that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.